A wetland area can be a great addition to any acreage. Today we're going to talk about managing your wetlands, and we have Joel Van Rukel. Joel, thanks for having us out. It looks like we're on a bridge over top of a area right now. Tell us about this piece of property right here.
Well, what we're looking at right here is a wetland. And a wetland is an area of land that stays constantly wet.
Right.
But it is shallow water with a lot of plants in it, and the water moves, but it moves very slowly.
And that's different than a pond.
Correct. A pond would be a bigger area. It would be bowl-shaped and deeper, and it would have some of the same plants and animals, but not as many plants, and usually not the diversity.
All right. And if you're talking about swamps and bogs, that's just another word for wetlands?
Yes and no. A swamp and a wetland would be very similar, different names in different areas, but there are different kinds of swamps. Some of them would involve salt water versus fresh water, and a bog is a unique kind of situation where the vegetation that's decaying is covering the bottom of the pond and the top, and over time it closes itself in, creating all that peat, so that you get a peat bog. So a little bit different than this kind of area.
Now on this wetland area right here, what type of plants would we see?
Well, the most common plant that you would see in a wetland like this would be a cattail.
Okay.
They grow tall with the seed head up at the top, pretty common. And then, of course, there's water lilies, which when they bloom are absolutely beautiful, and they cover the wetland area. And then there's this neat floating plant right here called duckweed, which is making everything look green right now, and it's just kind of floating on the top and actually moves with the wind.
And I notice a lot of frogs. What other animals?
Yes, a wetland has so many opportunities for wildlife in it. The slow-moving water and the consistency of the water just always being there provides for the animals that need it. The frogs and all the amphibians that have to lay their eggs in that water, it protects them. It keeps them from washing downstream. And then there's all the insects here that those animals can eat.
I see flying around, I guess, dragonflies.
Dragonflies, one of my favorite. We have so many species of dragonflies out here. They're beautiful. They also help control other insects which maybe wouldn't be so popular.
Which people always worry about the mosquitoes.
The mosquito, yes. And obviously right now we're not getting chewed up by mosquitoes really bad, but they're a part of the wetland. But the frogs, the dragonflies, and the birds. Wetlands are host to so many birds. You have the ducks, the geese, all the wading birds, the diving birds. It's just incredible once you stop and look.
Now, we have an area on our farm that floods every year, it seems like, and I've thought about putting that in a wetland. How do I go about doing that?
A lot of areas that flood maybe at one time were wetland, and so many wetlands have been taken out of their natural state that is a really good idea. There are different ways to do it. Different agencies you can contact, local conservation board, state agencies. If you're lucky enough to have a soil and water conservation district, that would be a great contact to go to. Some things can be done on your own. A lot of these wetland areas have been tiled, so those tiles can be stopped. They don't actually have to be removed. They can just be plugged. And at some point, if they need to be reverted, then they can even be done that way.
Any other benefits or reasons why you think people should put these into their property?
Well, besides the obvious habitat and the beauty that it can create, wetland areas provide habitat for so many different kinds of animals, different species, that it makes it great just for that. But it also helps control the water quality of an area. They help control flooding. When the water rushes into an area like this, the wetland works like a great big sponge, and it just soaks that water up and holds it and releases it slowly. Also, the water quality is improved by the plants that live here. They have the ability to chemically remove some of the chemicals as they grow. That's part of their process, so they clean the water that way. And they can also help move the solids out. The erosion that's caused when the rain rushes in, all those particles of dirt and rock that get picked up at the fast-moving water, again, when it hits that sponge-like area, slows the water down, all those things drop out and the water gets cleaned up that way.
It's really quite beautiful and peaceful out here.
Yes, this is a great place to visit.
Thanks a lot for those tips. That's very helpful, Joel.
You're welcome.